Once the race starts, one boat will be ahead and in control of the other, or not. If the boats can't cross each other, then the boat on the right has the powerful starboard advantage. In a close match race, usually the boat on the right is first to the first mark. In a close race, the port tacker has to decide whether to duck the starboard tacker or lee bow him. If port can keep lee bowing starboard and push her to the starboard ley line, port may be able to beat starboard to the first mark. Sometimes, however, starboard can use her momentum to glide into a controlling position while port is lee bowing, as you can see in this shot. For this reason, I try never to lee bow unless I am 100% sure I can make starboard tack away quickly. Here you see port choose to duck starboard. You will see the power of the right in action as the boats come back together for the next cross. This time, the previous starboard tacker can't cross and must lee bow and loses control of the race. The right, Mr. Drill, try hard not to give up the right if you can. Here, near the windward mark, the starboard tacker leaves just enough alley between her and the starboard tack ley line for the port tacker to duck and then tack into. That proves fatal for the starboard tacker at the mark. So there it is. With the right so powerful in match racing, it is much more common to see starboard tackers lee bowing port tackers. This is a harder maneuver to make because port is usually bearing away as starboard is tacking, but one that is essential to strong match racing.
Even closer this time, only inches separating the two teams.
Another rule that has changed for match racing is the anti-hunting rule, Rule 16.2. It is deleted for match racing, which means a starboard tack boat can bear away while a port tack boat is trying to duck her. However, ISAF publishes a book of umpire calls that also govern the racing, and Umpire Call 14 restricts how far starboard can hunt. Starboard is only allowed to turn down as far as 90 degrees to the true wind, basically a beam reach. In this shot, you will see that starboard is slightly advanced on port, so she bears away, which makes port advanced on her. Now it is too late for port to duck her, and starboard forces her to tack and beats her to the mark. In this shot, in heavier keelboats, you will see starboard bearing off as port is trying to duck her. This makes port have to duck even further and sets up the slam dunk from starboard. But be aware that this move doesn't work as well in smaller keelboats, which turn much sharper. In smaller keelboats, the port tacker may be able to luff sharply after ducking and defeat starboard's tack if she tries to slam dunk her. Finally, given that there are just two boats in the race, you will often see the leading boat going tack for tack with the trailing boat, just to give them no chance to get any leverage on one side of the beat. Also, the leading boat is casting its wind shadow on the trailing boat in hopes of growing its lead as well. The downside of going tack for tack, especially in waves, shifts, or puffs, is that the trailing boat gets to choose when and where it wants to tack, and the leading boat has to tack when the trailing boat does. A clever trailing boat can work this to their advantage.